Hello and welcome to another brand new video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jeroen Mul. I'm a professional racing driver working and racing for Lamborghini and doing all sorts of cool stuff with supercars. And today's video is all about the Aventador S Roadster. I just got it back from its annual service, and there were also a couple of software updates done to the car which actually made some dramatic changes, which I want to show you. So I'm going to take you out for a drive in the car and show you exactly what kind of updates Lamborghini has done to the Aventador S to make it even better. So this Aventador is now exactly 2 years old. We took delivery of it in May of 2018, and ever since I've driven just over 16,000 kilometers with it, and it's been very happy kilometers. It's definitely not a garage queen. I use the car very often, and especially on beautiful spring days like this, you just have to take it out, take the roof off, and enjoy this car. Now, with the car being 2 years old, it was due to have its second annual service. Just before that, I already had the tires replaced because it turned out that I completely burned through the rear tires in those 16,000 kilometers. No idea how I did that. But anyway, it's got a brand new set of Lamborghini Aventador specifically developed Pirelli P0s, and it just had its annual service done by Lamborghini Leusden, the official Lamborghini dealership here in the Netherlands, where they can service the car completely as the factory intends. It's obviously very important to keep your car serviced at an authorized dealership in order to make it run as good as possible, in order for you to enjoy the car as much as you want. And the dealer already told me that with this service they were actually going to do a couple of software updates, and I expected them to be just some minor, maybe bug fixes or improvements on emissions of the engine, just some small improvements that they've learned along the way. But after I picked up the car 2 days ago and I drove it back home, I realized that there were actually a couple of pretty significant changes in the feel of the car, and mainly to do with the way the Isr Gearbox, the independent shifting rod Lamborghini patented Aventador gearbox, seems to work. And the first thing that I started to notice was that when I was driving the car like I'm doing right now, just cruising at 100 kilometers an hour, which is the national speed limit on Dutch highways, and I was cruising it like this in Strata Mode, the street driving mode, and in automatic, as soon as I would pick up the throttle to maybe overtake another car, the car was downshifting way quicker than I was used to. So I have no idea if you can actually pick this up now with the noise of the wind, because obviously I had to drive it open, and with the car in Strata Mode the exhaust valves are actually closed. But we're currently cruising at 7th gear, 100 kilometers an hour, 2000 RPM, and if you just pick up the throttle a little bit, immediately you can hear it shifts down to 6th gear for you to have more torque and more power in order to make an overtaking maneuver. And it used to take way longer for the car to respond, and it was sometimes experienced to be a little sluggish, a little bit slow, and a little bit lazy. Now, I checked up on this actually because I was so curious to see if this was a correct feeling that I had, that I checked in with a colleague of mine at R&D, and he indeed told me that through feedback of engineers, through feedback of customers and journalists, they actually decided to update the software of the Strata Gearbox mode in order to have the car be more responsive, and it definitely works, and it definitely shows, and it makes the car so much more drivable and easy. Obviously the Isr Gearbox in the Aventador has been quite a controversial subject of the car. When the car was launched in 2011 in its original form, the LP700, the gearbox was experienced to be extremely savage. The upshifts that you have in Corsa have the notorious aggressive kick in the back. But this all came because the car had a single clutch gearbox and doesn't have a dual clutch gearbox like you would find in other supercars of today. But to me, this gearbox is part of the character of the car, and I just love the car for it. It engages me in driving instead of the very, very efficient and extremely fast and beautifully smooth dual clutch gearboxes that also Lamborghini uses in the Huracan models, which is a very, very good gearbox. But I don't know, I just love the drama of the car, of the Aventador with this gearbox. It engages me. You have to think about when you're going to shift and what you're going to do with the car in order to make the driving as smooth and as fast as possible. So the second thing that I noticed on the gearbox update is actually the downshifts in the sport mode. Now again, going back to that first generation of the Aventador, the LP700 that was launched in 2011, the downshifts in sport mode were so incredibly aggressive, and mainly the blip was so snappy and so ferocious, and you could really hear the induction noise of that V12, and it was one of the best things and one of the biggest things that I loved about that car. Obviously the upshifts in Corsa mode are what you want for upshifts, the very aggressive bangs, but the downshifts in Corsa mode actually just do the right amount of blip and throttle for the downshift in order to give the best engine braking and the best performance on the track. That's what Corsa is all about. But sport mode is all about fun, noise, excitement, and that's exactly how they also programmed those downshifts in sport mode. Now when the Aventador S was launched, I was very sad to realize that they actually tamed down those downshifts a little bit. And this was all because the Aventador S was supposed to be the best road-going version of the Aventador that they have made so far, so it had to be a little bit more refined, and with the Isr Gearbox they wanted to make sure that both upshifts and downshifts were just a little bit smoother in order to have a nicer driving experience on the road. But I felt that it just lost a little bit of that magic of those snappy downshifts. And then when I got to drive the Aventador SVJ for the first time a couple of years ago in Portugal at the launch, I was very excited and very happy to realize and notice that in sport mode those downshifts were back. And today I actually realized that it looks like those snappy downshifts have also trickled down to the Aventador S now. Because especially when you're driving slow like this within the speed limits here in this little suburban area, when you downshift from third to second, and then maybe from second to first, it just feels more snappy. It feels like it uses a little bit more throttle and a little bit more aggressiveness on those downshifts in order to get that perfect rev match, and it just adds to the occasion. Let's see if we can get it again. It gets this raspy noise, the real suction of the engine, of the air intakes just right behind your head. There you go. You can really hear that raspy noise just before the valves in the exhaust open, but you can really hear the induction noise of that naturally aspirated V12 trying to breathe in as much air as possible when it gets the request for the downshift. And it just adds to the drama, and I love the fact that Lamborghini still works so hard on these current models to make them even better, even though you might think that they couldn't be even better. The noise that just comes from this car is so... there you can really hear the difference. It's that raspy, snappy way of blipping the throttle when you request the downshift on the pedal behind the steering wheel. Let's do that again. Wow. It's so aggressive, so good, and it's really noticeable. It's such a big difference. Bang! Again. You can just keep on playing with the gearbox like this. You don't have to go fast, you don't have to go all the way over the speed limit. You just need to enjoy the car, and especially on a beautiful spring day like this, which we had already so many of, and that's why I've done so many kilometers already again with this car here. That V12 is just so iconic. And I think it is one of the great engines of our lifetime, of our era. This 6.5 liter naturally aspirated Lamborghini purposely built this car, this engine for this car. It was a new development from the ground up after all the different iterations of the V12 that they had before for all the models from the Miura until the Murcielago. For the Aventador, they really started from a blank piece of paper and started to develop and draw up this engine, and what a masterpiece it is. And now with this software update in the Aventador S, I cannot think of a better supercar for the road, for the all-round supercar experience, to get that feeling, to have that special occasion drive, because that's what these cars are about. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to go drive on a racetrack, you want a race car. You want a car that is on slicks, that is purposely built, that has all the cooling to do that you need for a car to be driven that hard on a racetrack. But if you have a street car, a road-going supercar, it has to comply with all these rules and regulations that just compromises with the track-going capabilities. So that's why this car just needs to be good on the road. It needs to be good on drives like this, like today, on this beautiful spring Saturday. And it needs to bring that smile on your face. And believe me, even after owning this car for 2 years, doing so many kilometers with it, this car never fails to amaze me, never fails to amuse me, and never fails to bring that smile on my face. So I can only recommend for everyone out there, not only for Lamborghinis, but also for any other car, make sure that you service them in the right way. Make sure you take care of them in the right way. And also bring them to your authorized dealers, because that is the only way you will get these kind of updates, and to make sure that your car stays in the perfect condition through your ownership and through owning it, and apparently also can get even better, like I experienced today with the Aventador. Because I can definitely and full-heartedly say that Lamborghini has made this Aventador S Roadster even better with this update, and I can't thank them enough. And I will definitely do that as soon as all the limits have lifted and I can go back to the factory and I can speak to the guys at R&D myself. But grazie mille ragazzi for all your hard work and keeping on developing these beautiful cars. You guys have done an amazing job, and I love this Aventador S Roadster. Let's do another downshift. First. What a noise! This V12, and the bangs are still there. Oh, and I so hope that even with all the modern day technology and with where we're going with the environment, and obviously we need to take care of everything, but that we will not lose this kind of sensational driving, because we don't want to lose the pleasure of driving. And that's also why I don't want to get rid of this Aventador, because it might very well be a dying breed. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that the update and the changes that I've done to this car and what it has done to me have conveyed over to you on this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of this content, because definitely more stuff will be coming very, very soon, including a video that is quite special to me personally as well, and I'm putting in a lot of effort to make it as perfect as possible. So I will make sure that that comes online as soon as possible as well. If you have any comments or questions about the Aventador S, about the update, or even if you are a Lamborghini Aventador owner and you've also experienced an update like this, I would love to hear your experiences in the comments down below. And other than that, make sure you stay safe, stay healthy, have a lovely weekend, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon again.